You know, when you crack open the official softball rulebook, it can feel, well, a little like reading a legal document, right? But what if we looked at it differently? Not as a bunch of rules telling you what you can't do, but as the actual blueprint for every single thrilling play. Today, we're going to dig into the foundation of the game, the field and the equipment that make sure every game is about skill, not about finding loopholes.
I mean, these things sound like tiny, nitpicky details, don't they? But they are absolutely crucial pieces of the game's blueprint. And the why behind them, that's where it gets really interesting. It all comes down to keeping the playing field level, making sure that skill is what really decides the game.
All right, so let's jump in. We're going to break down the rules that govern the stage and the tools of softball. We'll see how everything, from the field dimensions to the strict standards for equipment, is designed to create that perfect framework where skill, safety, and fairness can really shine.
Okay, so first things first, let's talk about the diamond. This is more than just some dirt and grass, you guys. It's a precisely defined stage where all the drama of the game plays out. And trust me, every single line and zone is there for a very good reason.
This is where it all happens, right? Fair territory. If a batted ball lands and stays inside these lines, it is live. It's your potential hit, your chance to get on base, and of course, it's where you score your runs. The whole game is basically designed to funnel the action right into this critical space.
And then, of course, you've got the flip side, foul territory. A ball that lands here, that's a foul ball. It's a strike. But, and this is a big but, if a fielder catches that ball in the air, it's still an out. So the ball is live, but the rules of engagement are totally different out there.
So here's something new in the 2026-2029 rules. They've officially defined the bullpen. This is that designated warm-up zone for pitchers getting ready to come in. And having this clear definition just makes sure that warm-ups are happening in a safe, designated spot away from the immediate action. You know, this simple split between fair and foul territory, it dictates a ton of strategy. Fielders have to know exactly where that line is. Do you let the ball drop, or do you go for that heroic diving catch for the out? It's this fundamental boundary that every single player has to respect on every single play.
All right, so we've got our stage set. Now let's talk about the tools of the game. I mean, for a contest to be fair, everybody has to be using standardized equipment, right? That's why the rules for the bat and ball are so specific.
Okay, this is a huge one, an altered bat. This is a really serious violation. We're not just talking about using a bat that isn't approved, we're talking about someone physically changing a legal bat to get an unfair advantage. So what does that actually mean?
Well, the rulebook is crystal clear here. Things like inserting materials inside the barrel, that can make a bat dangerously hot, making the ball just explode off of it at unsafe speeds. And even something that seems minor, like swapping out the handle or wrapping it with too much tape, can illegally change the bat's balance. All of these things just completely undermine the game. It stops being a test of skill and becomes a contest of who has the best illegal equipment.
And check this out. This really shows you how the rules are always being updated. The new rulebook for 2026-2029 makes it official. Painting the top or bottom of a bat for anything other than ID is now considered an illegal alteration. It's a great example of how the people in charge are always trying to close those little loopholes to protect the game's integrity.
Okay, so moving on from the shared stuff like the bat and ball, let's get into the personal gear each player wears. And this isn't just about looking good, you know. It's all about safety and function. Think of it as the player's armor, designed to protect them and to keep the game fair.
So one thing that trips people up sometimes is the difference between a glove and a mitt. But the rules are actually really clear about it. A mitt has way more padding and a deeper pocket. It's all about extra protection. And that's exactly why only the catcher and the first baseman, the two players who are constantly catching high-speed throws, are allowed to use one.
All right, remember that question from the beginning? Why can't a pitcher's glove be the same color as the ball? Well, here's the answer. It's all about being fair to the batter. A yellow glove could totally camouflage a yellow ball, right? It would make it super hard for the batter to see the ball coming out of the pitcher's hand. So this rule just makes sure they get a clear, clean look at the pitch.
When it comes to the catcher, safety is everything. It's non-negotiable. The rules require a full set of protective gear, and it is absolutely mandatory. I mean, think about it. From foul tips zinging back to collisions at the plate, this gear is pretty much the only thing standing between that player and a serious injury. It's the most complete set of armor you'll see on the field.
And that brings us to the final piece of our blueprint, the team uniform. This is about so much more than just team branding or looking cool. The rules for uniforms are there to make sure players are easy to identify, to prevent distractions, and honestly, to uphold a professional standard for the whole sport.
So, 15.2 centimeters. That might seem like a ridiculously specific number, right? But that's 6 inches, and it's the maximum height for the numbers on the back of a jersey. You might think that's overkill, but that level of detail guarantees those numbers are perfectly clear and consistent for umpires, for scorekeepers, and for you, the fans.
So all these key rules really work together to create a cohesive whole. Matching uniforms, that gives the game a professional look. The strict numbering system, that prevents any confusion with scoring. And those rules about no hard casts or distracting jewelry, that's purely about safety. It's not just to protect the person wearing it, but every single other player on that field.
And you know what? This idea of professionalism, it goes beyond just the players. There's an updated rule now that says coaches and managers also have to be neatly dressed, either in uniform or in team colors. It just reinforces that everyone representing the team, whether they're on the field or in the dugout, is held to that same high standard.
So what's the bottom line? What happens if somebody just ignores these rules? Well, the consequences are pretty straightforward. It usually starts with a warning from the umpire. But if the problem isn't fixed, that player or coach is getting ejected from the game. It just goes to show you, this blueprint has real teeth. The safety and integrity of the game are taken very, very seriously.
So there you have it. We've covered the stage and the tools of the game, but of course the real action, the real strategy, that comes from the players themselves. So how do the rules about the players, things like substitutions, batting out of order, or an illegal re-entry, how do those shape the game? Well, that's where this blueprint gets even more fascinating. Thanks for digging into the rules with us.